No, you go first.
I'll just say, I was the project planning versus experiments, and several of my projects have been...
Hi, I'm David Matheson. I'm one of the hosts of this event, and I'm really excited to be here.
This time we're going to have a whole bunch of Post-its over on that wall. There are only 2 over there now, but we're going to put a lot more up there. And then we're going to step back and say, well, what does all this mean? So the real areas are likely to emerge over the course of the meeting. And then we're going to kind of process those, synthesize those, and set an agenda.
I hope we have a very diverse and very deep insights into where things are going.
I think what I'm excited about is the variety of, different backgrounds. There's commonalities, but there's a lot of differences.
This was too good to pass up. It's something about which I'm passionate, and I traveled across the country to participate in this today.
If there's ways to use this forum to then propel those groups to better come together, I think you'll see very quickly successes in the value of bringing these different groups together.
Premium level software, really good software committed to the practitioner side.
What I'm really super passionate about is that we have found a way now where we can really, from a problem, using machine learning, building the whole AI complex solution with the customer together with all the disciplines, until deployment, operationalization. So really marrying hypothesis-driven development with engineering, which you really need, but also the human experience.
Oh, this is a really exciting event. I would say this is actually the first event that explicitly revolve around decision analytics. Thank you for bringing this fantastic group together.
I've seen people use like machine learning and software generally for just the most ridiculous things. Tremendous waste. And I've seen just like, holy shit, they're onto something, right? And it's quite a mystery.
I think we're redefining what it means to be a decision professional. It's clear that the machines have caught up, and we've got to figure out what the decision professional of the future is, how to integrate the ability to do big automated data analysis and whatever that might mean.
Let's do framing. Let's spend at least one day of, in a workshop before we spend like 6 months on a project, right? Like usually people say, let's have a document, spend 1 hour, decide on it, move on for like a year, right? So we're trying to change that. And I see decision analysis coming in there.
And I think what happens for many people when they model, they mix the decisions and the uncertainties all together. Yeah. And everything gets jumbled into one little mash. And then you look at it, and that is just nothing more than a scenario that could happen. It's not something that necessarily will happen, right? And I think that level of confusion at the root is probably some of the problems. Separating decisions from uncertainties is a very first and to me, a very simple step.
And I live in a software community, an engineering community that really is all about getting product out there. And I have to find this interface between these two worlds.
But in fact, more is not necessarily better. Can you imagine how hard it'd be to operate a car if you had 1,000 dials on your dashboard? And you need a speedometer and a fuel gauge. And anything beyond that is risking distracting you from the important things.
We're not doing computer, gonna make all the decision tomorrow. We're far from that. So I think that's one thing we try to communicate. And then the other thing is human bias really comes in the way. Okay, so when you say intuition, like for me, the very next word I think about is bias. Okay, and that's something, analytical approach can really help you. So it takes leaders who are smart enough.
And the whole lack of rationality, not in a good sense. But I just want to tease those two apart in the mind here. Because they're talking about how organizations work is really, I think, an interesting aspect in it.
It's like there's such a disconnect to the patterns in the organization, the assumptions the organization was making. It was impossible to move the ball.
And it seems like the attention span on those product features is smaller than the amount of time it takes to build like an innovative machine learning product.
I was always at this sort of intersection between growth and technology. I was doing like strategy and business technology and innovation.
We have the keepers of the flame who really understand the understandings of decision, and yet they've been left behind. And we just have this vision that there is a sweet spot that comes together if we can merge back these two trails again.
So the focus of this meeting is to set an actionable agenda. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about.
We're very happy to have a great set of minds today who help us raise those issues, structure them, create a working plan or an action plan that helps us get to that purpose, and definitely looking forward to that outcome.
The theme of this workshop is about digital transformation. I think balancing the rigor that we have always applied and continue to be important, but also with newly available data sources to help us to solve those problems even better than before.
So what are the major trade routes between these two civilizations, if you will? And can we build everything better and bigger together by focusing on a couple key things that are really going to make a difference for both sides?
The central tenets that are there in decision quality, am I dealing with the best possible frame? What am I trying to decide? What are my options? What's important to me?
The respective communities are both complementary. If you pragmatically pick the strengths of each and combine them in a clever manner, you'll do better. Cross-disciplinary fusion is what I'm about.
I would actually be very interested in promoting connections and dialogues between statisticians, who I talk to a lot, and also decision analytic experts.
We want to create a common language between data science and decision analysis to help extend and improve those disciplines in ways that is material, creates efficiency, as well as expands the language of decision-focused analytics beyond what our discipline of decision analysis has been used to.
One thing is we need to deepen empathy and understanding between fields. I've observed there's quite a bit of talking past each other, right? So just like, listen, try to get yourself in somebody else's head, somebody else's shoes, somebody else's situation.
There's no common vocabulary, so this is a problem. So that we talk past each other, and we actually add to the confusion.
We beat into them the fear of statistics. So, because data science is a very optimistic field, how the data tries to tell you things you think you would never know, and statistics is the field that says how the world is lying to you, and we try to give them a little of both.
Right, or something, like the bathroom door over there has a pull handle for a push door. It's like, gah! Some people have thought about this tremendously.
Trade-offs are human. And in the end, it's the whole aspect of the engagement of the human in the decision-making process that sometimes gets lost. And we have to remember that the trade-offs are actually held by the decision makers.
And it's not really consulting, it's working with the customers on their problem and solve their data science problem. And I'm thinking about how I get now the curve to the whole decision making. But I'm thinking it's coming, and maybe I draw something. So when a customer comes to us, they usually they come with a problem, but I don't think yet when they come to us, they really understand fully their problem.
Instead of saying machine learning, we really should be framing this as human learning. Assisted by.
That sounds like a post-it.
Machine assisted human learning.
And what I realize is that people actually come to this problem with a lot of rich understanding. They actually understand their business really well, and they've been operating to make decisions for their company for many years. And a lot of these people have, 10 or 20 years experience making marketing decisions.
I think one thing is really for us, really the human experience people, because they go to the end user, they ask, maybe IT comes up or some business comes up, oh, we built this solution. We need the solution for our end users.
We're redefining what it means to be a decision professional. It's clear that the machines have caught up, and we've got to figure out what the decision professional of the future is, how to integrate the ability to do big automated data analysis and whatever that might mean.
One of the biggest challenges is organizational change management. Introducing technology into an environment involves change.
And I live in a software community, an engineering community that really is all about getting product out there. And I have to find this interface between these two worlds.
How does one communicate the desire for automation into the management chain?
Would data science and machine learning help us effectively understand the target market for improving decision making, right? That's the critical piece that I'm here sort of wrestling through.
And I've made the mistake of thinking I have a product. I have not thought through, I've responded to a customer request, but I have not thought through what is the need, what is the objective, who cares, who's the market. I thought through none of that. So I think I've got a pretty good product. It's pretty hot, it's pretty important, and I actually need to step back and find out what the product is, what market am I actually serving. That's what I would do.
How do you evaluate? You have to put all these criteria in place, and then you can start your hypothesis and experiment. I know it sounds very abstract, but I think it applies to this as well. Because I hear a lot of hypotheses, and they might be true or they might not be true, but ultimately, how do you want to evaluate it?
What would that machine learning model be worth to you? Like, if it helps you set this threshold or make this decision.
One of the things that I'm tasked with doing is trying to figure out how to articulate the value of what we're doing to our clients, give them an ROI on our system. And it seems like this it would be an excellent way, and it would actually put the value through their eyes.
You want to invest where value, ultimately return, is there, right? However, and this is where, I'm here with friends, so I'm going to say something about my company and how actually we go about this. The fact that you make those decisions about 10 years or even longer before it hits a market means the range of uncertainty is quite large.
Transparency in terms of the assumptions that are being made in a specific analysis, so that everybody understands the limitations of those, and transparency in terms of what one's risk preference is. Understanding that risk tolerance is part of it.
And so we have this program to make sure that everything that we do goes through a responsible AI process where we ask the right questions. Who are all the stakeholders? What harm can this cause to which of these stakeholders? And this is actually also in the whole life cycle of a project and a product.